So, Season 3, what a season it truly was. Clearly one of the best seasons we have seen within DFL history. And today is the review, people. Me and Peter are here to give you a absolute rundown of everything that happened in Season 3. What did you think of Season 3 as a whole, Peter?
Well, we both called it from the mid-season. We said we at the start of the season, you towards the start of the season, we said that we wanted it to go to Abu Dhabi because it would be a nice thing to see. Mid-season, it was looking healthy, but Charlie was sort of running away with it, and we were still calling it. Yeah, it's probably going to go down to Abu Dhabi, and we guessed it right. We actually guessed it right that it was going to Abu Dhabi, and it did.
We absolutely did. We hoped, we prayed, and it happened. There's so many highlights of season 3 that we could go over. Especially let's look at Spain. First time George shows up, he absolutely dominates the DFL. Everyone thinks he's going to be massive within the league, and then he's unfortunately just inconsistent, to be honest, in his races. Hopefully that improves in season 4 and there's more of a title challenge from George. Then you have Preston Charlie going head to head every single race. It was never a consistent win by any of them. It was swapping out every single race, with each of them meeting their best tracks and their worst tracks.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Japan, all the drivers were saying, let's skip it, let's go. And then I managed to convince them all, let's just do it because, we might as well, it's in the calendar. And you know what? It turned out better than what they thought it was going to be. And, it was a race that would probably prove crucial in the championship for probably Preston and Charlie. So for both of them, really. Despite Preston only getting, I think in the end was a P5, and Charlie won the race in that rate.
Absolutely. But of course, we look from Bahrain, where Charlie won the first race, to Abu Dhabi, where Charlie took the win and the championship in the last race. What did you think of Abu Dhabi as a whole, like as a
You know,
finale?
I thought I felt a little bit disappointed. I sort of want to get Preston's view and what really went on in Abu Dhabi because I actually wanted to know what was going on with Preston. It looked like the pace from Brazil to Abu Dhabi had just disappeared completely. It was just gone completely. Like something happened overnight, and I think the pace really affected the championship and for Preston as well because in the end, it was a late minute safety car, and do you know what? It was just me and you, Dan. We was just talking away, and then casually a safety car pops out, and it brings the race back to life. And we thought Preston might have had one more shot, like the gods from the FIA gods, or just provided them one more chance to really snatch the championship off of Charlie. But Charlie, he made the smart choice of pitting, and Preston didn't.
Absolutely, and it Preston basically paid the price, didn't he? And Charlie, through his absolute genius of pitting and getting almost new tyres, showed his class and showed why he was the season 3 World Drivers' Champion, and of course we can't forget the season 3 Constructors' Champion as well.
Yeah, the fact that he is a double champion for the team and for the drivers as well. It's a great achievement overall to achieve, for Charlie to have come back as redemption season, should I say, started in seasons ones with Harry, Bahrain, I think it was Bahrain, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Bahrain, Harry, and Charlie teammates, and then it was Saudi Arabia after that, and then he disappeared for for a season and a bit. So, and for him to come back now and have taken 5 poles, 8 wins, and 14 podiums throughout that whole season, you have to get this man around your applause because, for that to happen, that's a lot of work, a lot of effort, and a lot of change to be put into hole one to really perfect everything to come out with the championship.
That is very true. You have to give Charlie the absolute credit he deserves. As you said, he showed what he was made of the entire season. And although Preston was the challenger. You could probably see that Charlie deserved the championship throughout the season, to be honest, and he deserved it completely. There was no point within the season where anybody could say, I don't know if he's going to win this championship. It's doubtful. Of course, it was close between him and Preston. I'm not discrediting Preston. Preston, absolutely amazing driver. The season one World Drivers Champion, and one half of the season one Constructors Champions. But Charlie, I really do think, stood out this season. To be honest, absolutely did not give up 1 second. Stayed resilient. Stayed on task for every little challenge that he came across this season.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Charlie really deserved the championship, and I said that I had a suspicion that Charlie might win it because although I was like, there's no way he's gonna bottle it in Abu Dhabi. Like, there's no way. I mean, you kind of looked at the last 3 races beforehand. What you had Brazil, you had Netherlands, where Charlie didn't score any points, and I can't remember the race beforehand, which I think was Japan. It might not have been, but either way, we look at those last several results, and you could sort of see that the nerves settled in because you knew that Preston was closing that gap no matter what. You saw the resilience in Preston to, he's pushing for it 100%, and it's do or die from him. And despite him not coming out with the championship, he still gave it his best. He if there was ever, he did so well to bring the champion back to Abu Dhabi. Let's just say that.
So now, Peter, I ask you questions. Of course, we're talking about season three here. Would you mind reminding us who got what pole positions, who got what wins? Just give us a rundown of what happened within season three.
So obviously in season 3, I'll start from top down from like the driver's standings on the sheet I've got here. So you have Charlie topping the sheets with 5 poles, 8 wins, and 14 podiums, like I said. And then following with Preston, where he also had 5 poles, but 9 wins and 15 podiums this time. So Preston, overall in the season, he got more podiums and the most wins throughout the season. Then you have Harry with 2 poles, 2 wins, and 6 podiums. Then you have Callum with 0 poles, 0 wins, but 2 podiums throughout the season, which is quite unlike Callum because he normally gets a win at least every season, and this was a season where it clearly couldn't work out for him. But at least he managed to pull out a couple podiums throughout the season for his team. Obviously, Jamie, he obviously got pole out in Brazil, and then also got the win in Hungary, and then he got 5 more podiums as well. Bradley, he had his first pole of the season as a rookie and the first win of the season as a rookie, and 3 podiums throughout the season as a rookie, which is quite good for him because coming into a league, it's there's quite a little bit of pressure on you already because you just want to do good overall. So you sort of have that bearing on you a little bit. And then you have Cole, who started off the season with the first pole, never got a win, but never got and got 1 podium. So, and that was out in Bahrain, and that was the last we saw of him until Abu Dhabi. And then you have myself, who took 1 pole throughout the season, 0 wins and 0 podiums for myself. And it goes the same with Bailey. Bailey, he had 0 wins, 0 poles, and 0 podiums. Rick Vick, he had 0 wins, 0 poles, and 0 podiums. And Jake was very unfortunate, and he raced a couple times, but he got 0 poles, 0 wins, and 0 podiums. And that is your rundown of the season of who got what.
Who knows, that could completely change with the upcoming season. Of course, season four will be a very interesting one. But just very, very quickly, I think one of my favourite parts of season three was actually having Bailey in the league. And I know you're probably wondering why. It was the fact that he was also uploading videos and live streaming the DFL races as well. You know, you've got that other perspective. Normally, you've only got our perspective, you know, the commentator's perspective, the overlook of everything. But it was nice having a driver's perspective in there. And of course, those videos are still up, you know, the Bahrain Grand Prix and the Spain Grand Prix on his channel, so go check them out. But yeah, it was nice to have that driver perspective for once, you know, being on YouTube on the DFL. But yeah, of course, season 3 was a manic one. It was backwards and forwards with different people getting poles, different people getting wins. Of course, it was mainly Preston and Charlie, but Harry was there as well. I think didn't you? Brad, of course, picked up one win, didn't he? Jamie didn't pick up one. Neither.
Yeah, Jamie did pick up the win. It was Callum who didn't pick up the win or a pole.
That's it. Jamie did, and Callum unfortunately didn't have a. I think season 4 could be completely different. I think Callum, you know, we know he's got the skill. I think he could come back and get a win. I think Jake, potentially, if he improves, you know, I think he could come in close and get a win there as well. You know, there's so many different people now. You know, with the return of Carl, the season 2 World Drivers Champion and the season 2 Constructors Champions, I think he has a good chance in this as well. You know, season 4 could be so unpredictable, to be honest. And that's what I also liked a bit about season 3. It was that unpredictability. You didn't know what you were getting. Of course, you saw the return of Charlie. The last time we saw him was Bahrain and Jeddah season 1. He DNF'd both of those and then unfortunately had to leave the league. To come back and then win the World Drivers' Championship is a utter redemption story in itself.
Yeah, can I just say though, one thing though, like the one thing I actually quite liked throughout the season, my favourite race overall was it had to be Miami, where George, Preston, and Charlie were all fighting for the win. I just don't know, it was something about it. It was just, it was nice. It was, you know, it was quite exciting because you had 3 people fighting away for the lead, and it wasn't always in chunks. It was, you know, just constantly happened. So, you know, I thought Miami probably topped the best race of the season for me. I mean, I don't know what your favorite race of the season was, Dan, but mine was definitely Miami.
To be honest, no, I think I have to agree with you. Seeing 3 people go head to head for the win of that race, and it went down to the finish as well. It wasn't as if someone ran away with it at the end. No, it was down to finish. It was close until the end, and I think it truly was the best race of the season, to be honest.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I thoroughly enjoyed the whole season as a whole, to be honest, because, you know, we never knew what was going to happen next. We never knew what was gonna happen within the championship. So it was always keeping us guessing, keeping us always on our toes.
Of course. We started the championship at, I believe, a 5-way championship battle. We went down to 2 main contenders. Of course, Harry had a sort of chance when it came to Jeddah. We calculated it and we thought he had a potential chance, but that wasn't really a chance. It was more if Charlie and Preston DNF'd both all the rest of the races, which the chances were very unlikely. So it came down to 2 contenders, and only one could come out on top, and that was Charlie, of course. But we speak about championships. We're gonna focus on wins. You know, Brad's taken his first ever DFL win this season. You know, joining the ranks of the DFL drivers with the wins. Of course, you know, escaping the ranks of the ones who don't, with the likes of Ritvic, Bailey, Jake. You know, there's only a few of them, but you know, Bradley now has that win under his belt.
Yeah, so Bradley will definitely be the man to watch out for next season because he was sort of a bit of a dark horse, to be honest. You know, at times he showed good performances, and at times he wasn't having the greatest of races, which is quite unfortunate for himself. But obviously, you know, I feel that next season, I'm sure he's going to be putting in that work to maybe better himself. And like I said in Abu Dhabi, I think it was in Abu Dhabi, I was mentioning that for next season, I think Harry has also been a bit of a dark horse. He's been in this championship for seasons running now, going into his 4th season, making him and Callum, I believe, the 2. Oh, and Jamie as well. Can't forget Jamie but the three most experienced drivers in that grid. So currently, there's three people. Obviously, yeah, I mean, I think it would be interesting to see what those guys can do. But like I said about Harry, he really needs to look at what he's doing wrong because sometimes he just doesn't have that pace and he can't respond to people when there's pace being asked for. But I think overall, Harry's a good driver on certain tracks. He just needs to broaden his range of what his what his strengths are, and lessen his weaknesses. To be honest, and then I think he's more on top. I think I can't remember the amount of times he's had an incident, but when it's been with other drivers, and the only time he's made a driver error was out in Jeddah, I believe.
Very true. I think we both said it really throughout the season. The most unluckiest driver was Harry. It wasn't many mistakes he made. It was just unluckiness every single race for Harry. You do have to feel for him, of course. Back in season one, he finished third within the championship. And of course, I think he had a chance to win the championship, but it went away throughout the middle of the season when Callum Preston ran away with it. Then we look at season two, it went down to the wire between Carl and Harry, and unfortunately, Harry again DNF'd in Abu Dhabi for the second time, and he lost that championship battle. And then come season three, something just didn't click this season for him. It really didn't. To be honest, I don't know what went wrong. It was just, again, very unlucky mistakes for him, to be honest.
Do you reckon it could be maybe the fear of failure, like the fact that he went to Abu Dhabi and then lost it there? Like maybe because sometimes when people lose stuff like that and you've taken it to the last race, and that this is the only chance, and you've only got one shot at being able to compete for it in the last race. Maybe the fact that losing and DNFing it, making him lose it, that bears a lot onto you and in your confidence, should I say, as well. I mean, obviously we look at seasons one, and I don't actually know what Harry was like in season one. I don't know if he was in a title fight or not at all, but seasons two, his teammate and him, they really were going at it. They were going toe to toe to compete for it, really. And you have to think that you have a lot because you want to beat your teammate the most, and that's because they have the same machinery as you, and you just want to beat them even more. So your first rival is that, but also I feel like Harry, he's a good driver, and obviously season three wasn't particularly the season he would have wanted to have, despite having being the most unluckiest driver. If I have to say, I think I've said this and you've said it already, but like I said though about Harry, the first half of the season he was the most unluckiest guy at all, and I feel bad for him. I really do because he deserves more than that.
Absolutely. He has shown his class within the 3 seasons. He's shown that he can be a Grand Prix winner, a potential championship challenger. But sometimes, as we say, things don't go his way. And that's what stops him from winning the championship. Again, season four, I'm not sure about you, but I definitely think he can have a shot at winning this championship fight. But it just comes down to how he performs. Of course that comes down to everybody how they perform, but especially Harry. It depends how unlucky he gets again. What mistakes he makes. I'm not saying he makes many mistakes, but the mistakes he does make can be counted as very unlucky ones.
Yeah, I mean, and definitely, I'm sure Harry will come into the season a bit more cautious than others because obviously his previous season, obviously this season, shall I say? So he'll go into season four with a bit more caution. Obviously, one of the crashes is his soon-to-be teammate Harry, but I mean, we will talk about one man right now, Charlie. Going into season four, he's going to have a target on his back. Like last season, it was Carl. He had a target on his back. Now this season, the target has changed to Charlie. Charlie is the target, and the fact that he's not going to be with his the champion team, Alpine. You know, he's been swayed to go to Red Bull, where he's going to join Harry at Red Bull.
Absolutely, and as I've said before in a previous video, we're actually going to see whether they can hold it together this time because, you know, they were teammates again back in season one for the first two races. They could not hold it together. Something went wrong, communication or something wise, and Charlie, you know, unfortunately had to leave. But whether they can hold it together this season will be nice to see, you know, hopefully so, potentially give it a run for the Constructors' Championship. We know everyone has a teammate apart from Jake this season. A very unlucky time for Jake, I would say. But the Constructors' Championship is going to be major, especially with the likes of Harry and Charlie being back together. I would have said Preston and Callum, but with Preston potentially joining us on, joining me on commentary, that's gonna be interesting. I mean, you know, obviously Jamie and Callum going together. This will all be discussed in the driver and tracks reveal video, as you guys will expect, which will be coming next Sunday. But yeah, honestly, it's gonna be an interesting one with all the teams going at it, especially with the return of Harry and Charlie together.
Yeah, can I just say something? You say that they had a bit of trouble with communication, but I thought during seasons three, I thought coming towards Brazil time, we saw those two sort of race, and I thought Harry would maybe be a, like, you know, the teammate, like a good soon to be teammate, and let him through. But I think those two were fighting for quite a bit, and you saw that the rivalry there, like, you know, Harry wasn't going to give up, he wasn't going to budge. And you know, we talk about communications. You know, my teammate's going to be George next season, but you know, I've already discussed this with George, and I said, like, look, mate, I'm not gonna pretend to like I'm gonna be the one winning the championship, or I'm gonna fight for it. I said, you know, I said, I've said, at what point do we both look at an extent like who's helping who, or he, and I said first race. We're gonna race it out. We're gonna see who really is gonna be going for it this season. You know, it is really who gives it their all, and then comes race 2 and 3, and that's when we start to look at it. And if, say, for an example, if George has won 2 out of the 3 races, then, and if I'm sort of not scored podiums or got second places, or if I haven't got points to still be contending with George at that time, I'm I've told George Dinton, I'm not gonna fight you. I'm gonna be the teammate that helps you win this championship, or helps you at least have a shot at winning this championship. Like driving against people and like giving you that space so you can build a gap, or if that need be, you know, I slow drivers down as much as I can so that I can bring my teammate into it, should I say. You know, so me and George have already worked out what's going to be going on, but because we don't actually know what's going to go on until Bahrain, you know, it's a bit of a mystery. So we both just we're not going to give each other room to begin with, but eventually you'll see that room and you'll start to see either me or him here helping each other out.
I mean, it'd be exciting to see, to be honest, that teammate, you know, helping each other out. You don't see it often, to be honest. Normally, you see teammates competing against each other. I mean, I spoke to Harry about season two the other day, and he said the problem was, you know, most of the races, you know, Carl and Harry would help each other out. Whoever's ahead, whoever's behind would, you know, keep the drivers behind so the one in front can create that gap and win the race. But come Abu Dhabi, because it was so close, they didn't help each other out. You know, they were competing against each other, and he kind of regrets that. He wishes that it wasn't so close, and that he could, you know, they could have helped each other out. To be honest, he would have preferred that. But it will be nice to see teammates helping each other out. To be honest.
But you know, if you're both in the championship, you're both in the championship. I mean, it all comes down to results and who can perform and put 100% in. If one of yous are not putting 100% in, then that's where you start to lose the game a bit. You know, if you're not doing good and your other teammate is, and he's scoring more points, you know, that's not their problem. I mean, unfortunately, as much as that's hard to say, you know, if you're performing well and both of you are performing well, you know, it is what it is, unfortunately. And and if it, so be it, if it means this, your teammates are going, like, fighting for the championship. I mean, with me and George, if say if that is a scenario, I think either way we'll still come out of it not like, I can't believe you've done this and all this. Me and George both have respect, and me and George have spoke about this quite a bit. I mean, it's the one thing I want to establish, because the good thing is you want to be on good terms with your teammates, because communication is also key, and having them in your sort of back pocket to be able to help you in situations where you think, I think I'm out of this, like help me sort of a little bit. That's where it sort of comes into play.
Very true, and you just have to find out which driver is that title challenging driver, whether both drivers are or not. And if you find that one driver who is the title challenging driver, then the other one potentially has to help him out, because that's the way it should be. Teammates should help out teammates. Obviously sometimes it's a pain. Everyone wants to win a championship, but sometimes you've got to do what's best for the team and not what's best for you.
Yeah, you sort of you start considering, like, whereabouts am I being selfish, and do I need to not be as selfish as much and help him out? Because say if you're in the lead, but they're like in second place, but they need the win, but you're like you're you're more faster than them. I think you should do the right thing and be like, well, I want the win as much as you do, but you think, well, it is what it is, and you have to help him out at a certain point, because it just depends what type of person you are, really, to be honest with you. I mean, because it is, I don't know how to explain it. I mean, it's more like you have to be able to be compliant with your teammate at times when you think, well, I'm giving up a win here for you. And what am I getting in return for this? But not many people see the bigger picture. And, I think it's better. It just depends how it's going to go. But next season, though, Harry and Charlie will be an interesting combo, and especially, yeah, I'd have to say Bradley and Charlie will be an interesting combination of how definition of teammates is going to work. Should I say?
Bradley and Charlie, you mean Harry and Charlie? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, it absolutely will be, and it'll be very interesting to see what goes down and what happens. But I think we've talked to each other long enough. I think it's time. We bring in the drivers and get their perspective on how this season went and what they're expecting next season, because there's nothing better than having the first hand perspective of the drivers. So shall we, without further ado, welcome in our first driver?
Yes, we should.
Right, with the first driver interview of the season review, unfortunately George cannot be with us right now, but he has sent in his answers for the questions we're about to ask, and Peter will kindly give the answers that George has written for us. So the first question for George was, you had a good start to the season, and you led for the championship for a few races. From that, what have you learnt, and what are you taking into season 4 to maybe challenge for the title?
And I quote from George, put, obviously, with me making my debut, managing to take pole and win the race, clearly shows that I can win. Also, wasn't able to turn up to all the races, unfortunately, but for next season, I will be able to be there for hopefully all of them and fight for the title.
Very nice answer by George, and I cannot wait to see it, to be honest. Second question we had for him, very quickly moving on, is for the next season, what are your objectives and what is your end goal?
And he put, my goal is to try and get more consistent, less spins and less mistakes. And my end goal is to hopefully win the drivers and constructors alongside Peter.
And do you think that'll happen, Peter?
I mean, I have my hopes. I'm very optimistic of what we can achieve. Me and George, if we put in the effort, we put in the time, and we really want it, I'm sure we'll go and get it.
Fair enough, fair enough. And last question is in season 3, you're in a battle for third with Jamie and Harry. You finished that in fourth, with Harry taking third place. Do you see yourself getting higher this season, and who do you see as your main competitors in season 4?
Well, I quote from George, put, 100% see myself getting higher than fourth. Managing to take fourth with only turning up to half the races if that. And my main competition, I would have to say, would be the reigning champion Charlie.
An interesting one. I mean, you said it yourself, Peter, didn't you? You see the main competitors for you and George as Harry and Charlie this season. Um, do you think Harry is a potential challenger for George at all, or do you think it's mainly constructors you see Harry as dangerous in?
Harry overall is a good driver, but with the pace, George has that miles over Harry. On certain tracks, I'd have to say that at times George would have the pace come like by seconds quicker than Harry. So I'd have to say that by far Harry won't be a threat to George. It's Charlie that he has to mainly look at, and maybe Carl as well. I mean, he didn't mention Carl, but I'm sure Carl will at some point be a threat. If not, could be a threat from the start to the end. I mean, it depends how it really goes, but no one really knows who's going to be a threat for who until the first race of the season.
Exactly, and it's definitely going to be a very interesting one at that. We thank you, George, for sending in your answers, and guys, we will be getting to the second driver interview right now. Do not miss it, people. So here we are with our second driver interview. We are joined by two drivers specifically for Season 1 World Constructors Champions, Preston and Callum. Of course, they were in the Mercedes, not for Williams at the time, because, it is what it is. But, yes, we're going to ask them a few questions, see what happens and see what responses we get and see what controversy can come out of it, to be honest. Peter, would you like to take it away?
Yeah, so Preston, obviously, last season you was fighting for the championship. You came so close, and the one thing I really wanted to know was what actually went on in Abu Dhabi, because in Brazil the pace was there, and then in Abu Dhabi you seem to have slightly dropped off a bit.
Um, don't really know, if being honest. Yeah, it just wasn't my day. I spun a couple of times and didn't really have the pace. I think it was just the new cars that are slightly different in Abu Dhabi, but yeah, not much I can do.
Fair enough. I mean, obviously you could have had the record-breaking titles in the DFL with two, and you could have sat at the top of the record books. I mean, is that something you're still interested in probably achieving in the later seasons?
Possibly, but yeah. If I really wanted to go for it, I probably should have started the season a bit earlier, but yeah. Maybe it's something to aim for in future seasons.
I mean, you say you feel like you should have started I started a little bit earlier, but you did so well to bring it back to Abu Dhabi. You went to Brazil and you went on and dominated that race by winning it, and that proved crucial for the championship. I mean, you took it to Abu Dhabi, and if that was anyone else in your shoes, if that was me or someone like that, I probably wouldn't have been able to have done that. It takes a lot of skill to be able to bring a championship gap when the most it was at time was at 60, and then when you did bring it back, sometimes you'd lose the gap and it'd go up a little bit more. I mean, that takes a lot of skill to do as a driver. I mean, you're a seasoned driver, and you sat at the top of the record books with the most amount of wins at this moment, and you topped the season with the most wins. You drove with Charlie on poles, and you got the most podiums. I mean, as a season, like, what do you take away from that, and like, what do you look at the positive sides of stuff?
Yeah, I appreciate the competition that I had. To be honest, it was just it was nice to just go out there and just sort of test, see how Charlie would do and how the other drivers would do. And overall, my season, it was. I think I did well for what I had. I probably could have done better in a couple of races, America, for example. I just DNF'd in that one when I probably could have stayed in, grabbed a couple of points, and who knows, it could have changed the outcome. But yeah, what I take from it probably would just say just to persevere and just when I DNF, try not to DNF. Any point matters at that point, really.
Yeah, I mean, you say that you feel like America, you could have, tried to make less mistakes, should I say? But in Netherlands, do you reckon that might have cost you the championships? Netherlands, obviously you sort of, I think, I don't know what happened, but you said something about you went into low fuel mode. Did you underfuel? Did you overfuel? Did you push too much in Netherlands?
Well, I put in extra fuel. I think it was 2 laps or maybe just under 2 laps extra fuel. But yeah, I think I might have just been pushing too much, and where I didn't spin compared to other people, I think they must have recovered the fuel from just obviously stopping on track and all sorts. So yeah, I think it was just a case of me being unfortunate and probably should have put more fuel in.
Fair enough. We go to Callum now. Callum, you mentioned, I mean, Dan, we were talking about this in Abu Dhabi, wasn't we, Dan? I mean, you said that you felt like the competition has got somewhat difficult because you're saying like a win is so uncertain now. It's so unclear to see a win. And that's what you said in Abu Dhabi. You said that a win now is so uncertain because there's just so many people. And over time, last season you didn't really get the win, and for 2 seasons in a row you was able to get wins. I mean, like, what do you think throughout the season? What do you feel like you could have done better? Like,
well, I feel like initially, coming in midway through the season to replace Lance, it was one of them where I kind of just had to try and get up to speed with the car as quickly as possible, understand what I had, what I could do, what I couldn't do with the car, and I feel like coming in Hungary, it's one of them tracks where you need to be on your A game, and I was probably sitting around your C or your D game kind of thing. So when you look at it took me a lot of time, but then towards the latter end of the season, there's a few mistakes in the middle, but I feel like I kind of really got to understand the car, understand how to get the best out of the car at all times. And obviously I feel like that very much paints a picture to my previous results when it comes to the end of the season. So hopefully moving forward into next season, new beginnings, should I say. But yeah, I feel like, I can really level head and spearhead a new team and hopefully push myself to limits that I don't know.
yeah. So obviously you said to also again in Abu Dhabi that your pace, like you feel like you've dropped off a little bit, but after having some experience with these cars now and you come into season 4, well, as you go into seasons 4, like what do you look to do? Like, do you look to aim for wins? Do you reckon you can get wins in season 4?
I feel like every driver has to tell you that they're going to aim for a win. If I was sitting and trying to tell you that I'm not looking for the win, I don't know why I'm here. So I'm always going to look for the win, but obviously a lot of it's down to luck. A lot of it's down to fortune at the end of the day. I feel like you could be the quickest car on track, but one mistake, one curb, you're round. A bit of wing damage in the pits, it's game over kind of thing. Like, you have to have the pace, which is 50% of it. You also need the luck element. And I feel like, especially in season 3, I might have had the pace, but it was just the luck just kept swinging the wrong way on the pendulum. I was never able to fully extract what I wanted. But then, obviously, towards the latter end of the season, getting more and more used to obviously Aston Martin in a sense. I was very much able to know the limits of the car, know how much I can throw the car through certain corners. So, I mean, I'd like to say, I couldn't get wins. It's not like I'm not won a race before. I know what it feels like. I've still got that taste and hunger to win a race, but I feel like a lot of it will have to come down to luck considering the competition now.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, do you have anything to ask these lads?
Not really, to be honest. I think you've covered it nicely. I think I'll let you take this one.
I mean, I've got another question for you, Callum. I mean, what you've learned from this season. I mean, overall, what are you taking into seasons 4 with you to, maybe have somewhat of an advantage over everyone going into seasons 4?
Well, I feel like I can come out now. Obviously, I'm not going to be a driver for McLaren next season with a new teammate. And I feel like this will give me the opportunity to kind of lead a team. I've always been a teammate with Preston, and Preston's always been like the number one driver in a sense. He's always been, the title winner, the main event. I might be the undercard, but he's always the main event. He's the one who's always talked about the most. He's always in the thick of it all the time. And so I feel like now kind of taking a step away from him and obviously looking to, be the number one driver, the main event for McLaren. I feel like that will very much benefit me in a sense, working with Jamie as well. He's been there for every race. Like the guy knows how to get the best out of each car he's worked with. you know, he might get unfortunate with DNFs and stuff, but obviously that's just any driver, you know. That, as I said, the way the swing of the pendulum. But I feel like having this opportunity to lead a team and actually, you know, be the number one driver, have that kind of say over what happens with the car, the setups and everything. I do feel like that will help me push to that extra percent over.
Yeah, I mean that's good. I mean, Dan, do you have anything to add? Like maybe it might be something to do without the season, maybe.
Not really, to be honest. I think you've covered most of it. To be honest, I think we've kept these guys long enough. You know, with the questions we've had. So
Yeah,
I would like to say though, I would like to say that I'm looking forward to joining the commentary team with Dan in the following season, though. Yeah, I think it'll be a nice change of pace and nice little break from the season that I've had just had.
Little thing for you. Commentary team is the best team on the grid. No, hands down. I'm telling you that now.
Soon see.
But
yeah,
I think that's
I was say. I mean, this is a question for both of you, Callum and Preston. I mean, what was your favourite race of the season for the pair of you? Me and Dan already agreed, but both of us that we've all agreed that Miami was by far my favourite race of the season.
Well, I mean, if you want to look into specifics, like, I mean, as much as everyone hates it, it's points wise, Japan was probably up there. As much as I didn't enjoy it as such, you know, it's not a preferred track of mine, but you just get your head down, keep your nose clean. But you gotta love the season ender. I mean, even as someone who's not really involved in a fight, I had my own battles, Bradley and Jamie, etc. Obviously, Preston had that the main event. As I've said multiple times, you know, he is the main event. So, you know, he had that. So, I mean, you've got to look at that one. But obviously, there was other races. But if I had to choose, it would have to be between either Japan specifically on points and podium wise, but for a race which I actually enjoyed, it's got to be Abu.
Fair enough. I mean, I quite enjoyed Miami because you, George, and Charlie gave the viewers at home quite a bit of a, you know, interesting time to watch the race. You know, like who was going to come out on top. Like you made mistakes, George mistakes, Charlie made mistakes, and it was just a bit of back and forth. Like the lead wasn't always for like chunks of it. You know, it was a couple laps and someone else was in the lead. You know, and it was just so close between you three.
Yeah, I'd probably say my favourite track. It's got to be. Oh, there's a few. I did like Imola when that was my first win of the season. I felt like that was a good starting point to get me going on the season. Brazil was a nice, comfortable one, but my actual personal opinion was Singapore because I think I went to the back or my qualifying wasn't too good. And I managed to pull off a win in the end due to a safety car, but a win nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's it. Now I don't actually have any more questions.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you, boys, for joining us again. And thank you for racing within season 3.
You're very welcome.
See us together.
And good luck in season 4. Good luck in season 4, Callum.
Thank you. I'll see you guys probably in the next one. Peace out.
Peace. But yes, that is the end of Preston and Callum's interviews. We'll be right back for you next with the next interview. I'm not sure which one it is, but you're going to have to stick around and find out. See you guys in a minute. Welcome back to another driver interview. Today we are joined by one half of the Season 2 Constructors Champions and the Season 3 World Drivers Champions. They need no introduction, so we're just going to get straight on with this, to be honest.
He said champions plural. Harry is no champion. Just like to point that out.
Peter, would you like to take it away?
Mate.
Yeah, all right. I'll go first. So, Harry, obviously, in Season 3, you didn't actually have the greats of season, especially in the first half, should I say, you know. But from the whole season, you took 2 poles, 2 wins, and 8 podiums. And from that, what did you learn? And what are you taking into Seasons 4 with previous experiences in Seasons 2 and 1?
Yeah, I had a few crashes and a few spins, so I'm definitely being more careful. However, the start of the season I was using F121 setups, and they only worked in Great Britain. So I will definitely be using proper setups this season. Yeah, but yeah, being more careful and using the proper setups.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, you know, as we're heading into seasons 4, you know, what is your like hopes? You know, are you looking to fight for the championship? Obviously, your teammate for next season is going to be Charlie, and both of you are going to Red Bull. Charlie, you're not Charlie, Harry, you're going back to your old constructors team from seasons 2, but you know, obviously your teammate, well, soon to be teammate Charlie, the reigning champion, you know. How's the relationship between you gonna be, you know, heading into the first race of the season? You know, are you gonna help Charlie out, or are you sort of you gonna see how things plan out in the first several races?
Yeah, it's good. Like he's a solid lad, he is, and you know, based from Abu Dhabi, you know, he needed help winning, and I was there for him. You know, so yeah, we're just gonna take the races as they go. If I'm first in the championship, I'm sure he'll help me out, and this goes the other way. But we're not necessarily going to have a number 1 or number 2 driver. We're just going to see how things get on.
Fair enough. I mean, Charlie, you know, I'll ask you a question as well. You know, in Abu Dhabi, you had an exceptional and shall I say, a brilliant race. You know, you finished off the final race of the season with a win, and you know, you started off the first race of the season with a win. I mean, did you expect to get the win in the end, or did you sort of accept that you was just going to be chilling in P2 for most of the race until the very end?
I mean, yeah. I mean, apart from the safety car, but then I was ahead of Preston by a long way. So I was like, as long as I beat Preston, I don't really care.
Fair enough. I mean, another question is, you know, yeah, what are your hopes again for the next season? Obviously, your teammate is Harry, and he's now a seasoned driver. You know, he's going to be in this league for the 4th season running now, and you know, the fact that you've come in the first season, well, your first full season, should I say? You know, you went in and dominated, and you were a deserved champion of that season. Obviously, how things gonna pan out? Are you looking to fight for the championship again, get that second title, and probably sit on top of the record books?
I think because it's now teams for the 4th season, I think I'm looking more for the constructors. You know, the drivers is there, and I'll take it if it's on the table. But I think I'll kind of try and second Harry this season, and if I can get him to be champion, then he can have worlds, but we can have the constructors together, be a nice little couple on top.
Fair enough, Dan.
Well, this is a question for both of you. Whoever wants to answer first can answer first. But who do you see as your main competitors going into season 4? As you say, it's teams again. People are going to be working together, coming up with better strategies to help the team. You know, who? So obviously, there's a lot of competition going into this season now.
Yeah, I think not really worried about Peter. He's shit. Nah, yeah, probably George. George is very quick in qualifying, like very consistently quick. But he's definitely inconsistent, and with some of his driving spins quite a lot. But he's very, very quick when he's actually moving. So
No,
probably George. And if
I
Preston comes back and starts racing as well.
I was gonna say,
But and
I
then if
agree with you with the whole like George is quick, and you know him not being consistent at times, at the best of times, and probably at the crucial of times as well. You know.
yeah, I mean he's very when he's actually like fucking on the track, he's much quicker. But all depends. But yeah, so I'd probably say George, and then if Preston is racing, I don't know if he's racing this 4th season. So
Harry, any thoughts?
Yeah, I second that. I want to keep my eye on everyone. I think Alpine is a is a real contender.
Team.
Huh?
Good team. Just pointing out that you took my team, Peter. You know, you took Alpine. Definitely because I won last year.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, I've already kind of said, you know, I think we switched seats because we believe that Ferrari have a curse, so we had to move.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can.
To the winning team. To the winning team from last year.
Oh yeah, definitely keep the Alpine winning.
Are you racing for the whole season, by the way?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna race for a full season and see how it goes.
Harry, you were saying?
Yeah, like I said, I'll just keep my eye on everyone, and if I think the real battle is probably with Alpine as a whole, as we saw in Bahrain. It's going to be good, and I think everyone's going to be battling really hard, especially us for Red Bull and
Yeah, I think
Alpine.
consistency will be key going into the full season. Sort of just don't spin, keep on the track, get consistent points. I think is the key for it.
I just one more question, and I didn't know if I was going to ask this, but I'm going to. Of course, we look back to the first season, Bahrain, Jeddah. You two are teammates, and unfortunately, Charlie, you have to leave the league. A very unfortunate time. How do you think? I know Peter sort of asked this question already, but going into season 4, you two being teammates again. Do you think it's going to work this time?
100%.
Yeah, well, after the third season, I went to Harry's house. We got straight in the ice bath. Drew up plans. Got the blueprints out. Drew up some plans in the ice bath. Held hands. Yeah, I think we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Good teammates. Be very nice. Very cute.
I mean, the whole of last season we practiced together anyway, so we definitely me and you can race each other exceptionally well. Fucking hell, Alonso was first in practice too.
Cut that out, please.
Nah, keep it in. Why
no.
not?
Go on, Alonso.
But yeah, I think we've seen for you two can work together, especially after Abu, when you, Harry, were very perfectly defending off Preston, allowing Charlie to get the gap to win me Abu Grand Prix and take home his world championship.
Let's not give him all the credit. I was the one that was trying.
I have one more question though, and it's for Charlie. Charlie, obviously, you was leading the championship by quite a big margin towards the second half of the season, and obviously, did you at any point think that Preston was a threat? Sort of midway through season, he was slowly gaining on you each race, and he was slowly gaining those points and cutting the championship down. But then, come to the last 2 races, like Abu, Netherlands and Brazil. In Netherlands, you didn't score no points. In Brazil, I feel like your pace, I wouldn't say slipped, but, you kept making those minor mistakes that cost you potential points in the championship. But, you went to Abu Dhabi with exceptionally good pace and went to win it. But in the last 2 races, the last 3, should I say, such as Netherlands and Brazil and Abu, what was going through your head? Were the nerves settling in at any point, realizing, shit, Preston has caught me?
Not nerves, no. I was just sort of definitely feel like Netherlands. I crashed in qualifying because I have a dog, and he scratched the door, and then looked like he's about to piss. So I kind of didn't pause my controller, and I pressed the screenshot button and not the pause button. So instead of pausing, I didn't. I just took a screenshot and then let my dog out and crashed into a wall. That's why I crashed out in qualifying, because my dog needed a piss. And then I don't know. I had the wrong for the Brazil. I had the wrong setup anyway for the wet. It was like a fine setup, but as long as it was dry and it wasn't, and it rained for the bit, so I lost loads of positions because of that. And then I didn't really practice for Brazil though. We didn't. I don't know. I didn't really practice for any races last season except for Abu Dhabi. To be fair, then I didn't really. I didn't really get home to practice. And then for Abu Dhabi, me and Harry actually practiced it. To be fair.
Fair enough. I mean, about Abu Dhabi, like, did you at any point accept just like, well, you know, whatever happens today happens, and if I don't come out a champion, then I don't, like, and you'll just go back for it next season? I mean, like, what was your your
Always
mindset
confident.
overall, like going into
Always
Abu
confident.
Dhabi?
Knew I was going to win. Always got to be confident. You know, knew the win was there. Knew I could take it. Did it with grace.
Right, the very last question, if Harry is here.
I am.
And
Yeah.
Harry put one up to
You,
his
of course, going back over the history books, season 1 you got third. Could have had a chance of World Drivers' Championship, but it kind of went away mid-season due to some unluckiness and everything. Season 2, it went down to Abu Dhabi with Carl, but unfortunately, you DNF due to having let's be honest, a tattoo you needed to get to. Very, very unlucky times. And season 3, again, you ended up third. There's consistency there, but is this season the final step?
I did not. I did not DNF Abu Dhabi last year. Actually,
No, I know. I didn't say you DNF'd Abu. I said there's
No,
consistency
I
because
know.
you got third.
I want to say I'm breaking the consistency, although I did not keep my win streak. In fact,
2
no,
win
I didn't
streaks.
keep my win streak. I didn't keep my win streak, and I didn't lose my lose streak. So, in fact,
You were
consistency
consistently
was
third, is what you
nowhere
said.
last year. No, I think this year's going to be different because I'm going to have a bit of a. Because last year I was sort of doomed from the get go because of the F121 setups. It was until Monaco where I realised that the setting 7 for downforce is utter fucking pillock stupid.
You realised in Britain.
No, I realised in Monaco.
No, because you said that you were using the F121 setup. Because I remember you saying, because I said, "Why are you so fast on the straights?" And you went, "Because I'm using an F121 setup."
Oh, I must have then.
Yeah.
I must have, yeah.
Then I think you just continued with it anyway.
I realised in Britain, but I continued because I only found out because of Monaco. Because I went down the settings, I was thinking, nah, this can't be right. I'm not using 7 degrees of downforce.
We did a
with
Lewis
Monaco.
and Max in Britain.
We did, except it was on a different corner. No, but yeah, like I said, it's gonna. I was severely like hampered at the start of last year.
Dan, can I make a suggestion, please?
Yeah.
If me and Harry end up being like the top 2 and we end up sort of challenging each other and there's no one else really, can you call it the Battle of the Raging Bulls? Just for have a title of the video. Been brewing on that for a while.
We will make a trailer and that'll be the title of the trailer.
Because then if I join a different team next year, like Ferrari, it can be the Prancing Pony versus the Raging Bull.
Well, Charlie, you are in Red Bull next year, aren't we?
Stallion.
Yeah, I know we're Red Bull, so it'll be Battle of the Raging Bull. And then if we do season 5, we can be Prancing Ponies. And we can get rid of the Ferrari curse.
Oh.
Well, good luck with that, boys. I do wish you all the best of luck this season, next season, and hopefully many, many more seasons that you take part in.
No, not many more.
Well,
I'm getting to the end of my time now.
It's gonna retire.
Yeah.
Damn.
He'll be retired in about 2 years' time from now.
Fucking 2 years. Yeah.
Well, breaking news for you, Rule. After season 5, Harry's quitting. Harry's off.
I better fucking hope it'll be breaking news.
But
very mid news.
Thank you, Charlie and Harry, for joining me into once again. So guys, thank you so much for watching the season review, and thank you for watching season 3 as a whole. It truly has been a brilliant season that we have loved watching from the very start of the first minute of qualifying in Bahrain to the very last minute of Abu Dabby. Of course, I hope you all enjoyed this season. A lot more is coming your way in a bit in season 4, so do not miss it, people, because more action is coming your way. DFL does not stop here, we keep going. But yes, I just want to say thank you so much for giving me 3 seasons. The absolute action and greatness that was, because it couldn't have been done without your support, guys. Thank you so much, and we here from the DFL will see you all in season 4. See you in a bit, guys. Goodbye.